Thanks for joining me today. We're really looking into the festive season, and for obvious reasons today we're diving into it. There's a couple of things that I really want to chat about. Like on a personal note, the reason I chose it for obvious reasons outside of the timing, it's every year I just see the same patterns. So people come back after the holidays, and to be honest, they're reasonably frustrated or down on themselves and unhappy with where they're at. And it doesn't have to be this way, but it is for like it'll be like 90% of people unless they kind of set some intentionality around the festive period. And this doesn't just work for this festive period, it works at any time that you've got holidays. And I use this exact same method for any sort of unstructured week that I'm going to have, which is kind of all these settings end up being. So what does that look like? Well, I want people to not feel like they've lost control. I want people to feel like in January, they're not just scrambling to undo the potential damage that they've done over the 2, 3 week period. Which my problem with that is then mentally they're normally down, and then they often try to undo this damage in a reduced time frame that is normally pretty unsustainable, and it normally leads them to restrictive dieting and excessive working out in a combination to start their year. And I would love to be able to help people avoid that being their January. So let's discuss that today. I wanted to touch base with like what are the actual holidays about? They're about lots of things. They're more than just, food and indulging. I like to think it's an opportunity to sort of focus on your deeper health. We're talking social connection, we're talking family, we're talking community, we're talking just a mental respite from most people, a pretty big year. You need to relax. You obviously need to celebrate, but I personally like to still focus on a bit of my physical health, mainly because it leads to so much of my own emotional well-being and my mental well-being. And I don't want to neglect that, even though I'm doing other things. This will be important because it forms a part of my plan to what I focus on over the next couple of weeks to a month. I want to sort of address something that people kind of seem to forget. You can't eat whatever you want, whenever you want, in whatever amounts you want, and then not expect the potential weight gain that you'll get from that. But here's the good news. You don't have to choose between enjoying the festive season and maintaining your health. We just need to align someone's expectations and their realities and give them simple actions and strategies to actually come back in Jan feeling in control, guilt-free, recharged, like they've had a mental respite. But more importantly, what I'd love to get with some of these actions is the confidence that somebody can actually take full control over their health over the toughest period of the year. And if you can do it now, you can do it anytime. And that's the opportunity that I actually love to look at when it comes to the next couple of weeks. So what do I want you to get out of today? I want you to understand and align your expectations with your reality. I want you to understand the trade-offs, because there are just a couple of different ways that you can go about the next couple of weeks. I want you to equip yourself with some strategies to be able to navigate this season, but not just this season, it'll set you up for any unstructured week. And I want you to learn a strategy called the ceiling and the floor, which is all about helping you create a plan that's flexible and keeps moving you forward. So let's get intentional. What do most people do? Well, most people in the festive season, they go in without a plan, without thinking, and they think it's just a couple of weeks, I'll figure it out later. They overindulge repeatedly. They skip any portion of their plan, movement, nutrition, health, like it doesn't matter. They let every social event and every day dictate their decisions. And on the other extreme, some stay overly restrictive in the essence of body composition goals. But when it comes to the first, second week of Jan, but especially Feb, they're stressed, they're burnt out, and they're unmotivated to start the actual year ahead, which is a really tough place to be in at the start of a year. So let's get out of the endless cycle of letting our social events dictate our calendar and our health, coming back in January bloated, heavier, full of regret, and looking for quick fixes to actually get on top of our health. I think we can stay in control with some strategies and some intentional decisions. As we're going today, by all means, contribute, ask me what you need. We can throw some stuff in the chat. Vince and Jeffrey, feel free to get involved. I want to know what's actually going to help you in this festive period. So I want to talk about the ceiling and the floor principle. I use this every week, if not every other day. So the ceiling is just your ideal plan. So I have my ideal weekly plan. In the holidays, it becomes particularly important. For me, it'll be my standard plan. Eating 80% whole foods, 20% with some flex in there, trying to maintain my 10,000 steps, limiting alcohol. I don't have a lot of desserts, so pretty much zero desserts, and just maintaining a structured workout routine. I won't bore you through the nitty gritty, but that will be my ceiling for how I approach the next couple of weeks. The floor is the minimum commitment that you've got to still tick a box for the day. Now, the floor principle is to stop people being like, if I can't hit an 8 or a 9 out of 10 in terms of perfection for my day, then I just won't do anything at all. Well, that gets you nowhere. It actually gets you going further behind rather than actually being able to move forward with each and every step, habit, day. So my ceiling will be this simple. It'll be, I want to commit to walking my dog every morning. And for those of you who don't know, I have a 4-year-old border collie, which it's as much for him as it is not having him run around, like a maniac in the house. But I can commit to sort of a 20-minute walk in the morning and I'll get 3, 4, 5,000 steps in that walk. And in terms of a nutritional front, I'll keep a high protein breakfast. And that's my floor for any other day. I've got some movement. I've, started my day with good quality nutrition, and that'll set me up for a great festive period. Ceiling, floor. I want you to think about what yours are going to be, and you can split it into 2 categories. What is it over the entirety of the festive season or whatever that week may be, and or specifically on each day, but we'll get to that a little later. So how does this work? It just helps keep you grounded when life gets hectic. By ticking your floor every other day, it helps keep you motivated. It helps keep you in control over your health and wellness, not letting social events and the festive season dictate for you. This actually leads, with the ticking of the box, to a really positive mental and mindset around your health and wellness and the intentionality that you have with it. And that is really important. You stack enough floors up over a 2-week period, you feel so much better by the end of it than if you did nothing at all. One of the keys to success. So let's talk nutrition. Now, I've already said I'm going to start mine with a high protein breakfast. But what do most people do? They either just skip breakfast altogether, or it's the holidays. I'll have my favorite meal. Could be pancakes, you name it, people have it. And if you're eating out, it becomes particularly difficult. I like to think of breakfast as the most important meal of my day. It's going to set up my whole day. You've heard that before. Breakfast is the most important meal. Let's get some specifics on why. I'm going to keep it high protein because I want 30% of my daily intake to be protein. And if I have a, indulgence brekkie that doesn't have protein, I'm setting myself up for failure in this regard. Why is that important? Well, it means I'm probably going to overeat my carbohydrates for the day. It means my blood sugar is not going to be stable. I'm going to be riding a roller coaster all day. It often leads to more excessive binge eating later in the day or overindulging in a snack, lunch, or festive meal that is going to come. So by eating a high protein breakfast, I control my controllables early in the day and I just set myself up to win more often. I'm going to get my protein in to the best of my ability. It's going to stabilize my blood sugar. I'm going to eat less high sugary treat foods later in my morning, which means I'm going to make better nutritional choices. Also, I get a mental motivational boost by sticking to a plan. And I choose breakfast personally because I find it's the easiest meal to control. It's the least social. And even if it is social, there are plenty of places out that can still give you a really good quality breakfast comparatively to lunches and dinners, comparatively to big social events that normally have drinking involved, which means it's even harder to stick to your nutritional parameters. Things that I love: scrambled eggs with avocado and spinach. You can have high protein Greek yogurt with some nuts and some berries and some seeds. Most places will do a pretty good protein smoothie. Just check that they're not laden with sort of additives and sugar. They will set you up to win for your week. Now let's talk good, better, best principles when it comes to nutrition. Another strategy that I love to incorporate to help keep myself on track. Good looks like including protein within at least one meal of my day. Better means having protein as my priority in every single meal that I have. Best would be a combination of protein and fats with fiber, sticking to a whole foods based diet for the entirety of my day. Now, we know that that's my ceiling. I'm not going to do that with every single meal, especially if it's a festive season. But then if I actually calculate the meals where I can, and then actually reverse and have that as my framework, I'll set myself up to win a lot more than if I don't and just let the day unfold as it will. The two other heavy hitters that derail people in the festive season. We've got dessert. We know it. Most people love it. It's hard to get away from, and that's okay. Good strategy is to just limit yourself to a serving. And if I'm doing that, I'll obviously put it in a bowl. I'll go away from the table and I'll enjoy whatever it is that it may be. You want that because it means you have to make a conscious choice to go back to the next serving rather than just indulging on the plate. The smaller the serve, the more you'll have to go back. The more you have to go back, it just gives your brain a chance to think through the decision that you're trying to make, rather than a really big, slice of cake or whatever it is that you just end up eating and you feel sick afterwards. Better strategies, I like to share mine with my partner, with whoever's at the table, and that allows me just to halve what I'm doing and just be more intentional about what it is. Again, hands up, like I'm not a particular dessert heavy person, but even when there's delicious cake or ice cream or whatever it is, that's kind of a go-to strategy for me. It means I can enjoy whatever it is without just overindulging and feeling sick, which is mainly why I don't eat it. It's not really the calories that are what I'm thinking about. It's the gut pain, the headaches, and just the feeling of feeling pretty average, sleeping pretty average, and feeling crappy the next day, which is why I don't want to indulge as much. Best option is actually just an alternative. Like my favorite alternative dessert will be like a Greek yogurt with some protein powder in there. Like I love a collagen blend in there, blends really easily. With I might throw in a pan some berries with some honey and put some like seeds and nuts over the top. It's delicious. It fills my personal need if I feel like a sweet tooth without the excessive overindulging of like a chocolate cake or an ice cream. That's just mine personally. Finding yours will go a long way into setting yourself up for winning the dessert battle, which is a tough battle to get in front of. Let's talk through movement. I think this is personally the easiest one for people to keep on top of. The easiest one I have, which is a strategy, is a 10-minute walk. Choose a coffee shop that is further away. Walk to that one. Works a treat. Go and walk the block early in the day before it's too hot. Use your dog, go with your partner, do something social. Big win, steady state walking, one of the most underrated health and weight loss tools that I know of that is underappreciated and not utilized nearly enough. Better will be sticking to some form of structured workout routine, whether it's in a gym, whether it's at home, whether it's 15 minutes, whether it's 30 minutes. It doesn't matter. I would actually steer away from excessive 45 to 60-minute workouts. In a period that's supposed to be social and engaging and fun and, relaxation, I personally don't want to spend the time necessary to stick to the nuts and bolts of my routine. I want to adjust my routine to be super efficient, tick a box, do something for my mental health, get the benefits that I'm after, but without spending hours and hours and hours away from family and loved ones who I would love to spend the period with. So be short, be intentional, be efficient with your workouts, get the job done, and then go and enjoy yourself. The best principle will be to time your workouts. Now, if you come from a family where you need to sort of eat all the meals and it would be disrespectful not to eat the meals, I get it. By timing your workout sort of 2 hours to 90 minutes before that meal or before that social occasion starts, you'll actually be utilizing a lot of the recovery process to get your muscle repaired done and the calories burned within that window. This will help significantly with some of the calories, some of the overeating, some of the overindulgence, if that is going to be the point of call for that particular meal. Again, it's an advanced tip, not always easy to time. And if you can't reduce sort of what you're eating at that meal, which would be my first point of call, it would be my default strategy to go to try and negate some of what I'm doing. And then post meal, which a lot of people forget, which is another advanced tool, would be to walk for 10 minutes. The studies show up to a 50% decline in your blood sugar rise with a 10 to 15-minute walk within about half an hour after your meal. So think big Christmas lunch, think the desserts, think big Christmas dinner. By getting in some walking afterwards, you're going to significantly increase your digestion of that meal. You're going to significantly decrease the blood sugar roller coaster. And for those of you who don't know, blood sugar is just once you eat a meal, especially if it's overindulging, especially if it's high in sugar or carbohydrates, your body will absorb those carbohydrates quickly and send you on a super large spike, which is just the amount of sugar that's in your blood needing, which goes really high, and your body just needs to deal with that, which is normally why you get an associated crash within 60 minutes to 2 hours later. That has a really big cascade for putting on weight or fat. So by going for a walk, you can negate that a lot. The biggest one that'll derail most people over the break, if it's not one of those, will be alcohol. It's a tough one, especially in this country, very socially accepted. Obviously, the best option would be to sort of abstain. Not saying you have to. I know that would be difficult, but just being intentional about it will significantly help your chances. Let's talk some good, better, best strategies just to set you up for success. Low calorie alcoholic drinks will be much better. Now, what do they look like? You're talking any sort of spirit, especially a clear spirit with a soda water, will have about 60 to 70 calories comparatively to about 150 from beer or wine. And then if you're having a cocktail, that could be 2, 3, 400 calories per alcoholic beverage, which over the festive period stacks up significantly. What I like to do if I'm having an alcoholic beverage is I like to substitute it with water, or I like to have sparkling water in between. It helps people feel like they've got something in their hand. It also helps hydrate me. And self-professed, I have 2 young kids. There's nothing worse than waking up with a hangover with 2 young kids. So the extra water will significantly help how you hydrate for the next day. I would avoid high sugary drinks because not only are you getting the alcohol, you're getting a huge blood sugar spike, which gives you twice as bad the hangover the next day. And the way that the sugar metabolizes, it's a little bit similar to wheat in the fact that you will definitely gain more body fat from those beverages than you will your clear spirit soda, sort of sake, anything in that realm counterpart. Much better. Your sparkling wines are a lot better as well. Some other nice structures around alcohol. The earlier in the day, the better. Like the later you have it in your day, and the stats say anything post 7 p.m. and anything more than one drink significantly impact your sleep, which has a super big impact on how much fat you're going to gain, not only how irritable you'll be, but it'll impede your body composition results by double. So just saying to be mindful of. And my personal favorite is when I'm having, if you're going to have alcoholic beverages, the night of, I'll take a B complex for my liver with some activated charcoal and some magnesium. About 600 to 800 milligrams should be enough. The morning after, and normally as I'm going to bed, I'll also have an electrolyte drink. Normally there'll be a scoop or a teaspoon in about a liter and a half of water. And in the morning, I'll take a cold shower just to get some energized and a probiotic just to support my gut. And then I'm straight to, and this is one of the things, a high protein breakfast. Very rarely, if I drink, do I allow myself to overindulge in the morning. I like to start with a breakfast that would be stock standard to set my day up to win the next day. Something I'll get into in a second. So, what are my sort of frameworks for the holiday period? I would set some ceiling and floor principles. At a bare minimum, I would pick a date in January. Most people are back on around about the 6th. And I would book in some form of starting of a program or booking in with a coach to hold yourself accountable. What we often see is people saying, "Oh, I'll just get a week under my belt first, and then I'll, be in touch, just so I don't have to talk about, whatever I was doing." That's when your coach wants to see you the most, or that's when a good coach will want to see you the most. I don't care. I don't judge. I just want to get people back on track as quickly as I can. And that means seeing them directly after the holiday season is done. And take the nitty gritty of, oh, I'll do it when I get back. Book it in now before, so you've got a clear date. It helps your coach, but it helps you have a actual date that you're coming back to draw a line in the sand. That's really important. That'll help set you up for success and not let early January creep into mid-January, creep into February. Overarching theme, have a ceiling and a floor for your festive period. That'll help you set you up for success. Know what you're aiming for. Have your default to just tick a box and keep yourself motivated and be really proud of yourself over the festive period. Then you can take it more advanced if you choose to. And this is what I'll be personally doing. I'll structure each day for myself for the 2 or 3 weeks that I'm going to take off. I'll look at each individual day. I'll then insert a ceiling and a floor into each day so I can get more clarity around exactly what's happening to set each day up for success. Which day is going to be festive? Which day doesn't have any festivities? Which days are going to have travel? Which days don't have travel? How does my movement stack up against that? How does my nutrition stack up against that? And what do I need to do to set each day up for a win if I want there to be a health win? Some days might be more family, community, social engagement. Other days might be more physical health and holistic well-being. I like to do a hybrid every day personally. That's how I like to stay on top of my health so that when I get back in January, I'm ready to go. I've not only had the mental reprieve that I'm after and spent time with family and friends, but my physical health and my body composition hasn't just been put to the wayside, because that personally doesn't make me feel amazing come the new year. And that's not how I like to start each year. So I will write it in my diary, look at each day, write in the exact time of the potential events, and then work out my strategies around each and every day without being overtly stressful in those days to set myself up for a win. Steps in the morning, where's my workouts going to be? What's my intentionality around nutrition? Where's my protein going to be in? Which meals are going to be had out? What can I do with those meals when I'm out? Which meals am I potentially going to indulge in? Which meals am I going to be totally fine with? And if I am going to indulge, what are my strategies going to be in and around that? If I want strategies, am I going to work out before? Am I going to walk afterwards? Or am I just doing enough good throughout the week, couple of weeks, that one I can just indulge and be okay with and take the stress off and feel guilt-free about? They're all the questions I'm going to ask myself before the holidays start, just so I can set myself up for success. For some people, it sounds intimidating and it sounds like a lot, but the reason I'm doing it is because there's only really 3 options when it comes to January. I've either gained weight, I've either stayed exactly the same, or I've 100% stuck to my goals and I'm actually in a better physical and mental standpoint than I am now. Each one of those has trade-offs. Most people don't stick and get better results during this time period. And the reason I often don't shoot for that is because, again, I'm trying to start the year with momentum and fire and motivation so that we can get stuck into a program in the year to set people up for the year. And years are long. And you do not want to be in Jan coming into Feb, demotivated, burnt out, work, family commitments, and everything's just gone to the wayside. It defeats the purpose of sticking to a plan right now. I often don't want to be the other way, though. Inhibition's gone, not worrying about anything and just thinking that I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, in whatever amounts I want. Because then I know in Jan, when I've gained weight and I'm emotionally exhausted and I'm mentally fatigued and my bloating and I don't feel great, that doesn't make me feel good either. So I come in with intentionality around what do I want to do in and around my health, which is where I find the middle ground normally fits the most. What do I want to do about my health? What am I going to do about my movement? What am I going to do about my nutrition? So I can come back in Jan the 6th, I think it'll be, in the shape that I want to be in with enough social, family, and health commitments that I've had the mental respite that I want to set myself up success for the year. And if you have those questions for yourself, you'll find that you'll take control over your festive season. You'll take control over your nutrition. You'll take control over the movement you're going to do. You'll come up with strategies and solutions for yourself around the desserts and the alcohol and the overindulgence. And you'll still be able to tick your physical and body composition goals. And you'll actually teach yourself that you can control what you're doing in and around your health, not letting life control that for you. And then from there, you'll know that if you can do it through this period, you can do it through any period. I'm going to open the floor up for anybody that's online. Jeffrey, Vince, we've got Sean, we've got Maddie. Any questions throughout the festive period that you need any guidance with? I think we might be okay. We were talking earlier today, and Vince raised a good question around my family need me to eat whatever it is, whether it's overindulgence or around festive periods. And we hear that a lot, like whether they guilt you into it or whether it's just culturally the way it is. It's a tough strategy to go with. And in those environments, it depends on what's on the table, right? I'm not going to be an expert in every culture. My first point of call is to go for the protein. It's really difficult to overindulge in protein. And even if you do, like one, it's harder to fill up on. It's really difficult to over-calorie protein. And it's going to set you up with more protein. And if I'm going to over any macronutrient, I want to over in my protein. Satiety benefits I get from it, the muscle mass that I'll preserve from it, and the blood sugar that I'll regulate from it significantly benefit the protein. So if I'm ever hungry late at night, let alone in the festive period, I'm going straight for the protein. The other thing I'm going to do is eat it first. So if there's ever starters and there's ever things like that, I go straight for the protein. It means I'm not just on a carb cycle for whatever that one meal is. And that carb cycle gets out of control. You eat a little bit, it dips, you get a bit hungrier. Now you've had a complete binge for the entirety of that meal. And that doesn't feel great either. The other thing I do, Vince, is I would intentionally structure my workouts in and around those days. Get in, get it done before the meals, utilize that window of recovery because a lot of those calories that you're indulging in will really help the muscle repair that you're going to do from the workouts. And that will significantly benefit and reduce some of the effect of the indulgence. So I hope that helps today, team, getting some good ones. The ceiling and the floor concept. Thanks, Maddie. Yeah, put that one in your arsenal, guys. Like that is, if every day you actually thought to yourself, doesn't have to be the holiday period, but what's my ceiling, what's my floor today? You'll find that you make tremendously better decisions. Ceiling's what you're aiming for the day. That's my gold standard. That's what, if all my bells and whistles lined up, that's what I'm aiming for. But the floor is to stop your day going from an 8 out of 10 to a 0 or a 1 out of 10. Your floor is a 4 out of 10. Your floor is ticking your box. Your ceiling might be, I do an hour workout with my PT or, at the gym and I hit a PB and it's structured and it's intentional. My floor might be, I'm going to get up and do 100 bodyweight squats, and that's all I've got time for. I'm going to walk my dog for 10 minutes because I think it's going to rain today. And it's all about ticking a box to move you forward on whatever your health wellness is and keeping your motivation high and being really proud that you've not just let it go to the wayside and you've intentionally focused on what you can do for the day. And you stack enough floors up, you'll see tremendous results in any day, let alone in any disjointed week or festive period where it's so easy to just throw things to the wayside. Another good question that I heard, which was, I just throw away the whole day and it just cascades from there. And that happens a lot. Like I've got a festive thing happening in the day, so they don't work out. I've had a breakfast that didn't go to plan, so I just don't do anything. The best thing I would say, if you, one, get your holiday season structured, macro plan and then micro every day if you need to. That's what I'll be doing. But then the other piece of advice I would have is don't each task or each meal or each workout is actually an individual task. And they have no bearing on the next task. And the quicker you can think that way, the better your decision making will be. So if let's just take you go out for lunch and it's a social lunch, or you have a work lunch that happens a lot. That will normally derail someone's whole day. What we're actually wanting to get through is just because there's been a work lunch, that does not mean you can't go for a walk afterwards. That doesn't mean you can't have a high protein snack mid afternoon. That doesn't mean you can't work out in the gym that night and have a good whole foods nutritious diet that evening. The quicker you can start to get into that mindset of each thing is individual and independent of the next thing or the previous thing, it means you can reset quickly, stay positive, enjoy what it was for whatever it was, and move along into a new health metric. And that means each meal, each missed workout, potentially each sleep in stays exactly there and doesn't have a cascade into the whole day, whole week. Again, another really strong piece of advice that I'd give you for over the festive period. That's our festive season roadmap. It doubles down for any week that's going to have unstructured arrangements, family in town, a crazy work, flying around the country. I hope it helps. Get intentional. Think about where you want to be in January and understand the trade-offs of what's going to take to get you there, because it'll help keep you intrinsically motivated through a tough period of the year. If you need to get in touch with us, drop us a DM. You know where we are. I've got a 7-day roadmap, and if you need any consultations, feel free to DM me. We'd love to talk to you. And until next time, keep living better.